Hi students, this video is about copyright, and in order to show you all the ways that we can violate copyright without even knowing it, I'm going to do three things that a lot of you probably do daily. Alright, so you can probably tell that this is a violation of copyright because it has a watermark. Okay, if something has a watermark, you can't use it unless you purchase it. And hopefully some of you are out there rolling your eyes like, obviously, duh. But a lot of students don't know this. And sometimes they'll even try to Photoshop out the watermark, but that still is a violation of copyright. So let's pause for a second and talk about what copyright is, and then I'll go back through these three examples and explain why each of them was a copyright violation. So copyright is a federal law. I'm here at the Purdue University website, and basically authors control the use of their work for a period of time. So you can't use anything that belongs to someone else if it falls under the copyright time period. Okay? So a work becomes copyrighted when it is created. You don't have to have a registered trademark or a copyright notice to have something be copyrighted. If someone takes a photograph, writes a song, creates something, they have authored a work and it is protected. So here are some things that are copyrightable. Literary, musical, dramatic works. Choreography is copyrighted. I actually have something really interesting about this. I did choreography for a show, and I was in the show and they did pay me for it, but I wasn't in the show the next year that they put it on, and they used a lot of my choreography. Technically, I could have filed a suit that they are using copyrighted work. I didn't because I figured I did get paid for my time, and now they owned the choreography, but it's still in very poor taste to steal choreography. Okay, and if you are in the dance world, you know that that's like big no-no. Pictures, graphs, sculptures, sound recordings, movies, other audiovisual works, computer programs, architectural works, a lot of things are copyrightable, and this is very fluid. You can make an argument that something is falling into one of these categories. Now, ideas, procedures, methods, systems, processes are not copyrightable. So a list of ingredients for a recipe is not copyrightable, but if you wrote instructions, that would be copyrighted because you created that, but you can't copyright a list of groceries, right? Names, titles, short phrases, are not copyrightable. So even slogans are technically not copyrightable, but you can get things trademarked which are different. Okay, facts, news, research, not copyrightable. And then things in the public domain. So if something is out there in the public domain, you can use it. So something that just recently went to the public domain is the Happy Birthday song. And what's really interesting is you didn't see people singing the birthday song in movies or television because they would have to pay royalties, or they would have to pay for the rights to use the Happy Birthday song. That's why you don't see a lot of restaurants, well, you didn't see a lot of restaurants singing the Happy Birthday song, because technically that would be considered a public performance, and every time they sing the birthday song they would have to pay whoever composed the birthday song. Recently, the birthday song has gone into public domain, so you can use it freely and you don't have to pay anybody to use it. Okay? So the reason this exists is to protect the copyright holder, so that they get credit where credit is due. Now, I want to talk about fair use, because when you're using something for fair use, that's when things get a little bit sticky. If you are using a work for criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research, that constitutes fair use. So if you're using something for a class project, quite often you could argue that you're using it under fair use. You're not being paid for it, you are not getting any financial or social gain from using this work. However, you should be careful. Even in certain cases in education, you can violate copyright. For example, if a teacher were to scan the pages of a textbook and post it on Blackboard for you to use, or if they were able to find a PDF version of the textbook online and then post it on Blackboard for you to use, that is a violation of copyright. Now, if a teacher chooses to only use a portion of that work, perhaps a chapter or an article from a book, that's okay. So it says the amount and portion of the work used. That can be okay. So it's very sticky, but you always want to make sure that you are erring on the side of caution, because if you violate copyright, that's actually a type of academic dishonesty and could turn into a plagiarism problem. So let me go back and show you the proper ways that you can give credit where credit is due in the 3 examples, and make sure that you're not violating copyright. So when I posted this picture, or it was supposed to be a meme, I wanted this part in there too, but when I posted this on my page, what I could have easily done is linked to where I got it. So maybe I take that out and instead add the link. And what's great about Facebook now is it'll give you the preview. So if I posted that instead, that would be appropriate. It's saying where it came from. It's giving credit to the original poster. The thing about sharing memes and GIFs, and yes, I do pronounce it GIF because it's a whole nother can of worms, and my husband, engineer, programmer husband, and I can't agree on it, but I say GIF. But sharing memes, videos, and GIFs without giving credit to the original poster is copyright violation. I know that seems really confusing, but every time you share something without attributing to the original source, it is a violation of copyright. I know, mind blown, right? Downloading things, streaming things online without paying for them is obviously a violation of copyright. I know a lot of you probably know that. That's why, 10 years ago, using file sharing to share music was illegal and still is illegal. You cannot do it. You have to purchase your music and your videos and things like that unless they are on YouTube and publicly available. But even then, you should link back to the original poster, because YouTube videos are original content created by a person. You cannot copy someone's YouTube video and pass it off as your own. That would be a violation of copyright. Now, if you're wondering how parodies work, parodies fall under fair use because you are adding criticism or commenting on a work. So you actually don't need copyright approval or permission to use something for the purposes of a parody, in case you were wondering. So do not download stuff. All right, back to our lady laughing at salad. It's one of my favorite stock photo meme ideas. So you cannot, as I said before, I kind of got ahead of myself, I got excited. You cannot use stock photos unless you pay for them, okay? But even, let's say I were to use this one. Let's say I used this picture, it doesn't have a watermark. I should be able to use this. No, you cannot use this because you don't know who took this picture. You don't have permission from the original poster or from the original creator to use this picture. So if you're thinking of all the pictures that you've misused on your school PowerPoints and you're thinking, what do I do? How can I find things that are available to me? You can use things that are in the public domain. Like the happy birthday song, there are things that you can use in the public domain for free, even for commercial purposes. So even if you were to use this presentation for work or for something where you would be getting financial gain or it's going to be part of your company's ad campaign, you can find things in the public domain. So let's see if I get anything good. Oh, gracious, gracious. You never know what you're going to get. Maybe we'll do that one. I was not expecting that. So you can see that we've got sources and it says free for personal and commercial use, and you don't even have to attribute the source. Now, if I didn't want to use any of those scandalous pictures or this, because it's not quite salad, it's not exactly what I want, I could attribute my source. So if I wanted to use a picture of salad, and you actually can see free stock photos of salad. Hopefully nothing scandalous comes up. Okay, it was the woman with salad that set it off. So here's my salad. Here's a hand. I kind of wanted a woman laughing at salad. I'm so sad now. I'll just have to make do so that I can stay within copyright. So here's a good picture of salad. I can download this. If I got it from just regular online places, like let's say it's this one, if I wanted to, I could use this picture and then just at the bottom say, I guess it's from Awesome Desktop. Who would put a salad as their desktop? I guess I shouldn't judge. But I could just put this down here for a class project. I would say only for a class project. Okay, and then I would add from, what was it? awesomedesktop.com. Okay, and then I could put my picture in there, and then I would be well within my rights to use it under fair use, and I am attributing to my source. So you'll notice that even when I am using, you know, the Purdue Owl or something like that, I will take extra care to show you where I got something, to make sure that you know that I'm not trying to pass off someone else's work or ideas as my own. So as you're doing projects for school or projects that require you to use images or videos, you want to make sure that at the very least you are attributing to your sources like this, and that should be sufficient for schoolwork because it falls under fair use. If you want to be extra careful, you can search for things in the public domain. You can use things like clip art. Clip art is in the public domain. But anything that belongs to someone else, anything with a watermark, anything that you have to pay for, any type of image where you don't attribute to the original source or the original poster or the person who created it, that's copyright violation. So you want to be very careful when you're using visuals, when you're using music or videos or anything multimodal in your classwork, and especially when you get into the career and workplace, you're going to have to be even more careful that you're not violating copyright, because when you're in the workplace, you're not going to be covered under fair use. If you have any other questions about copyright, there's lots of helpful things online. Copyright.gov is a great place to start. It has a lot more information than you need, but if you're interested in it, there's lawyers that dedicate their entire career to just being copyright lawyers. So it's very fraught with a lot of different issues. There's a lot of loopholes, there's a lot of jargon and specialized language in dealing with copyright. But if it's something that you're interested in, you can check that website out. And I hope you now know how to avoid copyright infringement and academic dishonesty.